Good morning, second graders. So happy to see you again and start another week. So today we're going to keep learning about fractions. Remember that a fraction is when you have a whole of something. It can be a shape or later we can talk about the group. You have a whole, but you divide it into different equal parts. You can divide a shape into equal parts and you pay attention to some parts and that makes the fraction. Here, the whole is made of 5 parts, so that's the denominator. But we pay attention to just 3 of the 5 parts. So 3 is the numerator. So we pay attention to 3 of the 5 parts. That's 3/5. Here we have a whole, and as you can see, it's exactly the same size as this whole, this complete circle. Actually, the 3 circles are exactly the same size. But here we pay attention to 3, the same as here. But this one is divided in 6 parts, 6 equal parts. Now here, the whole is made of 10 parts, that's the denominator. But the numerator tells us to pay attention to just 3 of the parts. Now, again, all these 3 circles, these 3 holes, are the same size. But the way they divide them, the denominator is different. That means this one we cut it in 5 parts, this one we cut it in 6 parts, this one we cut it in 10 parts. So, when that denominator is different, and if we want to compare these 3 fractions, and that denominator is different, but the numerator is the same, you can see that the one that has the biggest denominator, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the biggest fraction. No, because look at the parts. You cut it in 10 parts, but the parts end up being super little. That's why when we color 3 in here, 3 in here, and 3 in here, actually the biggest number, because it's the denominator, ends up being the smallest fraction. Look at all these 3 parts and look at these 3 parts. So this 3/10 is smaller than this and than this. So, like here, they are telling you in these fractions that they have a common numerator, the same number, 333, but a different denominator. The biggest, the greatest denominator is the smallest. When the numerators are common, the fraction with the greatest denominator is the smallest fraction. Okay, very good. Another way to look at it, and it's more easy, is if you make the same fractions but on a rectangle. As you can see here, all the 3 complete rectangles are the same size from here to here. They are the same. The whole, the complete thing, they are the same. But in the first one, we color 3, like here, 3/5. This one we divided in 6 parts, and we color again 3. But you can see how immediately you can compare that these are smaller than these 3 yellow. Yes, the pieces are smaller, okay? You can see it here more easy. That's why they are smaller too. The pieces are smaller because you divided in more parts than here. And here also the pieces are even smaller because you divided in 10 parts. So look how small the pieces end up. So even we color 3, it ends up being the smallest. So not necessarily because you see, this is 5, 6, 10, this is the biggest. No, It has more parts, that's what it means. But look, if we pay attention to 3, 3, 3, this is the smallest. So in today's work, you are going to compare and circle or write which is the greatest fraction, which is the biggest fractions, or which is the smallest, okay? Also, you are going to put the fractions in order. So if it's hard for you to memorize the rule that the greatest denominator is the smallest fraction, then trace or draw your 3 rectangles, divide them into the parts they tell you to divide, and color the fraction. That way it's easy to compare. When you draw it like here, now we can write the fractions in order. So imagine the instruction tells you to write from smallest to greatest. So which fraction would go first from these 3? Which is the smallest? And where did we color less? I mean, we color 3 in all of them, but which whole color area is smallest of the 3? Exactly, this is the smallest. From here to here, this is the smallest. So let's write the fraction. That means first we put 3 tenths. We put a comma to separate. Then after this we are done. Then which fraction goes next? Exactly this. So that's 3/6. Put a comma, and then which fraction goes now? 3/5. Very good, boys. So today this is what you are doing. They give you the fractions and they tell you to write them in order. Again, you can practice with the rule that I just told you. Or if you forget it, it's totally okay. Draw your rectangles, color your fractions, divide and color your fractions, and then you can write the fractions in order. Now, there's another rule and it's more easy, and this one is going to help you. What do you notice in these fractions? Exactly, the denominator is the same. In the other that we just did, look, the denominator is different. The numerator was the same. That's a common numerator, means that they have the same. But now in here, we have a common denominator. That means that denominator is the same. Now, here it's more easy because as you can see, this, again, the 3 circles, the complete circle, the whole are the same. And here, remember the denominator tells you how to divide it into 9 parts. So here we have 9, 9, 9. And you color the numerator. Here we color 3, here we color 5, here we color 7. So now like this, you can easily see which is the biggest. When they have the same denominator, that's like normal numbers. The biggest number at the top tells you the biggest fraction. Maybe here you cannot notice so easy, so let's do it the same fractions with rectangles. It's more easy. Again, the 3 rectangles are the whole are the same, but we color 3 in the first one, 5 in the second one, 7 in the third one. Now again, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all of them have 9, 9, 9. They have common denominator. That means the same denominator. That means the same number of parts. So when they have the same number of parts, the biggest, the one you color the most, is the biggest. The one you color the least is the smallest. So if we put these fractions in order, it's the same. Imagine here they tell you from greatest to least. So this would be the greatest fraction. That means 7/9. Separate with a comma. Then what's smaller than this? This. 5/9. And 3/9. So when you answer your page today, don't make the circles. Making your fractions with circles, it's more difficult because it's hard to divide in equal parts. Do your rectangles and it's more easy. Okay? So now let's look at today's page. Sorry. There it is. Let's look at today's page. So like I told you, look, they don't show you the pictures. And they are telling you to arrange the fractions in order. Begin with the smallest. Now, you can remember the rules. When you have the same denominator, just look at the numbers at the top and pay attention to them as the normal numbers they are. The biggest number is the biggest, the smallest is the smallest. When you have a different denominator, then yes, I recommend you come and do your pictures. Or just remember the rule. Even the denominator is the biggest, that's the smallest fraction. Okay? Well, go and answer your page. Again, I recommend you to draw your fractions, and that way you will not make mistakes. Okay, I love you. Go and do your Google Slides now.